I'm going to show you how I got access to billionaires when I was 18, 19 years old with no network, starting off with no fame, no notoriety, no reason why they should give me any time of the day. Everyone says that your network is your net worth, and I can tell you that is 100% true. Now we have a business where we are working with some of the wealthiest people online doing all of their organic marketing, all of the back end funnels, everything for them. And the only reason why that's possible, the only reason why we can have unlimited demands for clients is because of my network. And I would genuinely say, and right now at 23, I have the best network of real business owners who are doing billions of dollars per year with massive companies. But none of these people are online. So how do you get in those rooms? How do you talk to those people? How do you treat them? How do you get mutual respect? And I'll first show you how I started. When I was 17 or 18 years old, I did not want to go to college. Me and my best buddy PJ had a business in high school where we were selling nicotine sticks, but we were crushing it with that. And I was like, you know what, this business stuff is really fun. Making money is really fun. I want to continuously do this. But my teachers, they don't make any money. Why the fuck would I listen to them? Colleges, they don't make any money. Why the fuck would I listen to them? I want to apprentice myself under someone who runs a real business, who has real experience. And so I just started reading business books. I read books like Rich Dad Poor Dad from Robert Kiyosaki, who's now one of my best buddies and a client, funny enough. Just started to read macroeconomics books, started to understand the world. I started to read like philosophical fiction books like Atlas Shrugged. I started just listening to YouTube videos every single day on economics. This was during 2020 when the world was shut down, school was shut down, and so stocks were crashing. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a hedge fund manager because I got lucky and I started making a bunch of money in the stock market accidentally. And because I was just like, oh, it's a no brainer. Let's invest. My ignorance was bliss, and I was so naive. I didn't realize that I wasn't intelligent or smart. I was just getting lucky in a lot of ways. And so I was like, macroeconomics is my path. I'm going to become a hedge fund manager. That's exactly what I thought. But I'm like, I'm not going to fucking go to college. I'm going to apprentice myself under someone in the space and eventually get my leg up. And I really want to work for this guy, George Gammon, who I thought he had the best information online about macroeconomics. His messaging resonated with me a lot. He talked a lot about libertarianism, where it's a free market capitalism, and neither political side is good. It's just like focus on what you can control, and a lot of these things that just the messaging resonated with me very well. So the way I started working with him is, first off, he had a paid community. I joined it. He had Instagram, he had Twitter. I was messaging him every single day in the paid community, every single day on Instagram, every single day on Twitter, literally every single day, and I never got a response back. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, George, I want to work for you, dude. What the hell is wrong? I want to work super hard. I didn't realize that my free labor was expensive to him. He already had a super successful business that he left in 2011. He retired in his 30s, and now he was just talking about this as a passion project. He had no reason for me, but I was like, I have to work for this guy. And so what I did was, he was having a birthday party in Arizona. I am from Lynn, Massachusetts, in the Boston area, and I've never been on a plane before. I'd never traveled really once in my life, and I was 18 years old. And he was saying, oh yeah, on his YouTube channel, if anyone wants to come, you can just show up. Here's where I'm going to be. Just RSVP, and I'll see you there. And so I was like, oh, here's my chance. So I get his logo, which is that Atlas Shrugged logo, tattooed on my leg. And I took my first ever flight with my mom from Boston to Arizona. First time on a plane, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? I was shitting my pants. I was super nervous. And we try and go to his birthday party, and it's a 21 club. It was a club. And so I was 18 years old. And so I had to do one of the guy in front of me showed him his ID and then slipped his ID to me, and I show him, and then I run in, and then I get lost. But I was determined. I was like, I'm fucking going in here. I just flew across the country and got this dude's logo tattooed on my leg. You got me fucked up if you think I'm not getting into this party. So I get in, and I'm too nervous to talk to him. I'm sure a lot of people have been in the situation. If you're 18 years old and you meet someone for the first time in your life, you aspire to be like that person in a lot of ways, and you look up to them. And I 100% did. He had this aura around him where he pulled up in his bright purple McLaren and got he came out in his suit. Some girl came out of the car. And I just remember thinking, I was 18 years old. I was like, how the fuck is this possible? Because where I'm from, I never even saw a nice car. I never saw like a McLaren or anything nice ever. I was like, what the fuck is going on? This is a completely different world that I can't even fathom. He just had such a deep presence to him that you couldn't fake. I'm sure you have met someone before where they had just this incredible presence where people gravitated towards that person, and I was like, "Holy shit, what am I missing that this guy has been through that allows him to live this kind of life?" I was too nervous to talk to him. I was so nervous that my mom went up and talked to George and was like, "No, you gotta come meet my son." And I was so embarrassed. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm done for." But I end up talking to George, and I'm like, "Yeah, I got your logo tattooed on my leg." And then I remember I asked him the stupidest question ever. At the time, all I did was listen to macroeconomic podcast. And there was this one podcast that I remember on Macro Voices, which is this super niche podcast that really just like money managers and hedge fund managers and people deep into that space go on to. And there was this one legendary hedge fund manager that had just gone on, and he was talking about why he thought interest rates were going to go down, and I was like, oh, this person thinks that interest rates going to go down. You just said that on Macro Voices. What do you think? And George's eyes lit up. He was like super excited to talk about that because everyone else was just asking him super random questions. And so we end up talking for 5, 10 minutes. And I remember I did not sleep a second that night. I had always been a super shy and awkward kid, and I still am, very much so. But when he was looking at me, he was like piercing through my entire skull. And so I had no fucking choice. I was staring him back because I was like, if I look away, I'm a chicken. So I forced myself to level up. And then I went back to the room that night. The only time I talked to him that night, I got his email because he wanted me to send him an email of the tattoo that I had, his logo on my leg to him so he could, like, he thought it was funny. And I didn't go to sleep that night. And I was thinking, this is the most accomplished person I've ever met in my entire life. Holy shit. I need to level up substantially. So I go back and I really have a fire under my ass at this point because it's getting towards the end of senior year. I had not gone to school at all my senior year of high school because I was just focused on making it happen. I was like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm just going to study all day, lock myself in a room until I figure this out. And at the time, I was still reaching out to dozens of people per week, looking to work for them for free, looking to pay to work for people. I still wanted to work for George, but I knew that I honestly wasn't ready yet. But I got some more opportunities and I just said yes to everything. And every single room that I went into, I just took every single opportunity and I said yes. I never asked for anything. I just always gave, and understood that I was the dumbest person in the room. And I was genuinely curious about everything else because I knew nothing and I understood that I knew nothing. Where a lot of people go into rooms thinking that they know everything. And I can assure you, you don't. And if you think you do and you act like you do and you talk like you do, hyper successful people are not going to give you the time of day because the more successful you become, the more you realize you don't know. Now that the business that I have is growing so rapidly, I just see how much needs to get done. I mean, there is infinite things that I need to learn to become a better CEO or a better founder at growing the business better. There's so many things that I lack that I see that I need to work on, that I need to do. And anytime I meet someone that says that they have it all figured out or they think they do and they act like they do, they are too naive to know what they don't know. They've not leveled up enough to realize that the world is way bigger than that. And I understood that from a young age where I just knew I didn't know anything. And you don't. If you're in your 20s, you fucking don't know anything. When have you ever met a 50-year-old successful person that was like, "Yeah, you know what? I actually had everything all figured out in my 20s." I've never heard that. Every single one of them says, "I knew fucking nothing and I was stupid." And so I've always just been self-reflective and said, "Well, if all of these successful people have said that they were stupid in their young 20s, then I am too." And I'm going to look back and see all the naivety that I currently have. So I just kind of embraced that. And I was always hyper curious, but I was super persistent, where I eventually started working for George. It was like a long process, and I moved out to Arizona. And anytime he was doing something, I was just shameless. And I said, "Can I come? I want to learn. I want to do more." And so he would be going to a conference, and I was not making much money. I was living in a roach motel. It was fucking nasty. And um, anytime he was going traveling somewhere, I would just spend all my money saying, "I'm just going to come. Please, I won't be a nuisance." And just to get in the rooms with these other people. And I was always hyper curious. And getting in the rooms with these people is 85% of it. It took me a year of fucking just doing so much shit before I could even get in the rooms with these people. But then you start to learn skills. I started to get really good at one thing, which was helping grow online. And then convert those views into customers. And so then people came to ask me questions. But every single time I would always go into every single room asking other people questions, being curious about their life. And it led to building super good relationships, especially these successful people. What they're used to is people always wanting things from them. And as you start to make more money, you realize that, okay, people become leeches and they just want to feed off of that lifestyle that you have, that you built. And so I was never like that. I honestly just didn't give a fuck. I was like, I want to be in the same position you're in. I don't want to take your stuff from you. So I was always just like very authentically honest to these people, and I was just that's just always the way I was. I did not feel any embarrassment in the anyest degree talking to these people because I didn't give a fuck. I wanted to learn, and people loved that, which allowed me to continuously build more and more relationships, always giving first. If anyone needed anything, I would do anything, because it's like, know your fucking role. When you get like it's like you spend all this time, you are not that guy, and I was not that guy at all, and I understood that. And I didn't act like it. I was just like, I'll do anything. Someone's like, oh, I need something picked up. I'm like, I'm fucking on it. I'm gonna go get that shit, and don't even worry about it. Just making people's lives slightly easier, and then saying yes to any opportunity and being hyper persistent and determined, but never sucking up to these people. Now that I work with hyper successful people and the business is growing, I notice these things. Someone like Robert Kiyosaki, who's one of our clients, the way I closed him is I actually turned him down. You cannot treat these people like celebrities. I was flying on a jet with Robert and Ken, and I was working with Ken, doing super well with him. And Ken was telling all of his friends, dude, you guys have got to meet this kid. He's super bright. He's fucking crushing it for me. And at that point, I was already building up a skill set. I was already improving my communication skills. And that's something that if you are young and ambitious and want to get in the right networks, you have to be able to communicate your thoughts effectively. If you get on a call with someone and you're stuttering and you don't sound confident in your words and you have no presence, whether you like it or not, that is going to be the biggest detriment to your success because these people are not going to give you the time of day if you don't believe in yourself. And so fix your communication ability and it will change your life for sure. But when I was with Robert, Robert said, Josh, what do I have to do to work with you? And I was like, I don't know if we're going to be a good fit. And I said that because I was too busy at the time. And I've always prioritized providing the best results over making the most amount of money. There was so many times in my early career that I was offered insane opportunities to make literally millions of dollars. And I turned down almost all of them because I always had a longer term plan. I knew the business that I want to cultivate that I have now. And it is way better than if I took any other opportunity. I can promise you. But I also just wanted to stay loyal to the people that I was with. And I was not going to sacrifice showing poor results for the people that really helped me get there in exchange for making more money short term, which is I see almost every single young person sacrifice their short-term success for money that is quick-lived. If I took on all of those opportunities, I could have been making a few hundred grand a month in profit when I was probably 21 years old. But it all would have blown up in my face because I didn't know what I didn't know. And so I just stuck with it, which actually provided more scarcity, which made all of those people want to work with me more, which I didn't realize at the time. But Robert wanted to work with me way more. The next time I saw him, he walked up to me and Robert can't even take a piss without someone wanting to shake his hand. He's one of the most famous people in the finance space ever. Robert came up to me and he said, Josh, no, I'm serious. What do I have to do to work with you? And this was after like 6 months of not seeing him. And I couldn't even believe he remembered me because every other time I saw him up to that point, he'd say, nice to meet you. But being different and not sucking up to him and not putting him on a pedestal, which every person does, every single person puts him on a pedestal. They put all of these CEO types that I work with on a pedestal because people are always wanting something. They want to keep their job. They don't want to be confrontational to these successful people. When in reality, all those people want that feedback when they all joke around like it's a fucking frat house. Like when I'm with these super successful people, they are busting each other's balls like you could not believe. And because that's how everyone is. If you treat someone above you, then they are going to treat you like a fan. And so just don't do that. That is the number one don't do if you are really trying to network with these people. If you're saying, "Oh, Robert, can I take a picture? Can I do all these things?" They are going to be like, "Okay, it's just a fan." And so they will treat you like a fan and not like an equal because you are saying that they are above you in a lot of ways, in these subconscious, subtle ways. And so then I started working with Robert and we fucking crushed it with him. And all of these other people came and said, "Josh, what do we have to do to work with you?" And so now there's this so much pent up demand of from so many different avenues because every client that we took on, we did such good jobs with and we had such big names. And the reason we had such big names is because of how hyper specific we were. And this was before it was a real business. There was just a few people we were like that had no systems in place, had no processes, had no like recruitment way to fucking get good talent. I thought that I just had a special gift for what I was doing, but that's not true. If you can't train someone to do what you do better than you, then you are the problem. You don't know how to train talent. And I didn't know how to train talent. I thought that I was like, okay, like I didn't know how to reverse engineer how I learned what I learned to train other people to do it. Because to have a business, you need other people to do the work. And you are not special. Other people know how to do what you do. So figure out how to train it to where you can bring in more and more talent. So now we have a team of 30 people or maybe 25, but we're hiring very aggressively. We're taking on a lot of clients. Now we're starting to scale substantially. And all of that has just come from building a super strong foundation and a super core of incredible amounts of goodwill, of never sacrificing the short term for the long term. And that is now going to allow us to have the quickest growth of any company. But it took 4 years to build the foundation to now grow substantially. And going back to how do you grow your network, it is looking open arms for opportunity and not being a leech when you get there. It's very obvious to people if you are just looking to get a free meal out of something and you are not interested in like they are not going to invite you back out. And it is very hard to get in those networks. But once you get there, it's very easy to stay. It's very easy to compound those networks once you get in, but getting your foot in the door is very hard. And it took me a very, very long time. But if you can manage that, it will make your life substantially easier. You get opportunities for deals to invest in that the public doesn't. I am now getting deal flow to invest in opportunities because of the network that I have and I'm in the right rooms at the right time that no one in the public gets. It is a cool kids club at the top, and they get the deal flow that is much better than the opportunities that everyone else gets because they are closer to the money because they know they have the network and they have the connections. I don't even know if I gave any value here, but it was whatever. Whatever.